Hey, welcome back. We are about to begin our final panel, which will be a discussion of the state of the Black superhero. So I will turn it over to our panelists and our moderator. Again, we really appreciate you all for participating in this session and in this discussion. We really look forward to another fascinating discussion with our guests. And our moderator, I believe, okay. Give us a second to get everybody situated. Some folks are having a little problem with their audio. Um, but are our panelists all here? I see Stephen Elion is we can't see you, but we do see your name. And, okay, there we go. And we're waiting to try to get Regine set up. Okay, she's going to try to get restarted. All right, so just give us a second. So we've got. While we wait, why don't we do this? We'll have each of our current panel attendees introduce themselves, and then we'll get going. Whoa, what? Okay, yes. So if we would please we'll go one by one. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get the discussion started when Regine can join us. Stephen, would you like to start?
Sure, I'll go ahead. I'm a comic book artist. This is my 30 years in the comic book business and freelancing. I've done work for DC Comics, Marvel. I do my own comic books, Ajala, what you see in the background, or this side right here. And I just worked for Marvel. I did the Deadpool annual. And currently I'm working on a book called Indigo Clan, and another book or a story featuring a woman called Octobriana. So I'm pretty busy right now doing a few things here and there. And that's some of my story.
Great. Elian, would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am, hello, everybody. I am Elians, a Cameroonese based in Congo. We have two Congos in Africa, so I'm in Congo, Brazzaville. I'm a comic book author. I also created a festival of comics, which is getting to its sixth year here in Congo, Bilili Bende Festival. And I am also a curator on exhibitions about comics.
All right, great. And we have one other panelist. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Somto Ajulichuku. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. I represent a company called Vortex Corp, which is a creative content company keen on exporting African culture through comic books and animation. We've worked with, our main focus is a digital distribution platform called Vortex 247, which encapsulates the African comic book experience digitally. Not just the African comic books, but also the comic books from across the world from Black creators and publishers. We've had the honor of publishing comic books like Sankofa Man from Akinshare Brown, Purge from Roosevelt Pitt, and also titles from across the continent, like Strike Guard and many others from publishers in Nigeria and across the continent. And I'm excited to be at the Townsend 4. It's my first time, and I'm excited to, get in the conversation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we're going to turn now to we're still trying to get Regine up and running, but in the meantime, Brother Ikenze is going to get us started with a few questions for our panel. Can we do that?
All right, everybody. All right, how are you? I'm back again. Nobody wanted me to come back again, but I'm back again. Nobody asked me, but I just want to say it's actually an honor and a pleasure to see all of you on this panel. Many of you, it's not even many, it's 3 of you guys. What am I saying many? Some of you I've known for some time. I've been able to speak sparingly with, over internet or text or through email, but I'm so glad to see all of you in real time, motion pictures. It's good to see all of you alive, breathing. And I hope you guys have been making a whole lot of comics and been happy, these past few months, because it's definitely been a trying time, but I'm glad you guys are all here with us today. All right, so unfortunately, Sister Regine wasn't able to join us as of yet. When she's able to join in, we're gonna move forward and continue with some of her questions. But just to kind of start off, I do have some questions from her that I think she forwarded to you, and we're gonna kind of give you an opportunity to go over some of those. You already talked about who you were and a little bit about your work, but this topic of the state of Black superheroes, the state of Black superheroes and where we are, what's our perspective on Black superheroes in current media, and where do we think they're going, is going to be our conversation this afternoon. But I want to ask kind of like an initial question here, all right, of each of you. Who was the first Black superhero that you ever came across, and how did you feel when you saw them, your impression when you saw them, and what did they mean to you? We can kind of go around. I can ask Stephen first.
Oh man, that was back in 1915, man. I don't remember.
I was about to say you don't.
I guess
the cat.
it either was, I think Storm. I think Storm was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't Storm. It was I was collecting Shogun Warriors. It was an African man from, I forgot what country, but he's one of the Shogun Warrior pilots. He piloted Vanguard Ace of the Shogun Warriors when that was a comic book back in 1980.
Okay.
Probably the first
Awesome.
one.
Awesome. I see Sister Regine is in the building. Awesome. Can you hear us? Uh-oh. Are you muted still? Test. No, not yet. Uh-oh, there we go. Not yet. Okay, keep trying. No problem. Keep trying. All right, we're gonna keep going. All right, my sister Elions. Let's get the baby to answer this question. Bring the baby in.
No, I say she's sleeping. I wanted to say, Stephen just stole my answer. Stephen, we're not starting this thing the right way. Tomorrow.
No, you read Shogun Warriors? You read Shogun, or was it Storm, or you read Shogun Warriors? Uh-oh, she freeze, I freeze.
I think Eliance froze for a minute. Oh, she'll come back. Oh, there we go. Stephen wanted to clarify, Eliance, were you speaking about Storm or speaking about the Shogun Warrior series?
Oh, you mean me?
Yes.
Oh, Ororo, Storm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
The
Because
storm is yours.
Ororo is her name.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
Yeah.
the storm is
Oh,
yours.
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah, Storm-
sorry. I'm not calling her by her.
No,
her
I
mother's
ain't steal
given
anything.
name.
Storm is yours. Storm is yours. Mine wasn't Storm. I thought.
No,
Go ahead.
when you started giving the answer, I was like, no. Then you shifted. That was good.
That's totally fine.
So she's all you. She's all you.
but if I can just add something about this,
Mhm.
the thing is, she was not just the first Black character, a superhero. She was also the first Black female superhero. So to me, it was something. It had a very specific impact, if I can put it that way.
Mhm. Absolutely. Very good.
Mm.
Brother Somto, how are you, my friend? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, bro.
All right, the busiest
I
man
can.
in the planet. Busiest man. You know what I mean?
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
Definitely
I think
not.
so. He used to work for Madiba. That's what it was. He said no. But good seeing you. Same question to you. What was the first Black superhero that you remember from the old days of liking comics, watching cartoons that inspired you, gave you inspiration, that really made you say, you know what, I want to do this?
I'm the first Black characters that I encountered growing up. Definitely, first one was Lobo. I don't know if it's a superhero, but it's Lobo,
Yeah, Lobo
from Superman. Yeah, I always felt like he was Black because he was this guy that he came with the bike and the chain, and I was like, okay, this guy has something about him. I felt like he was Black. Then Spawn. Spawn was also one of the first times I encountered a Black character. Before I started to actually see Black characters in superheroes like saving the day, it took me a while actually. Because when you came up with the question, I kept trying to think about it, like, what was the actually first Black superhero? It was more recent times. But then there was Captain Africa, which was also, which was also a comic book that used to feature in the newspapers back when I was growing up. That was one.
Brother Dwayne Ferguson.
That was very
Was that Dwayne Ferguson?
Yeah, he's from around my way, back in Jersey.
Yeah, so Captain Africa was definitely one of the Black characters that inspired me. But then my love for, when I decided to make comic books, was much later, like in college, and that was a Nigerian comic book called Omo Boy, which I randomly saw under a table, and I'm like, wow, we make this, and then I think I want to make this too. Yeah, that was time.
Awesome. Okay, Regine, are you able to take the next question?
I think so. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
All right.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, y'all. Thank you so much.
I'll humbly mute myself and I'll listen in.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Yes, good talking to all you guys.
Take care, Keen.
Okay, so to piggyback off of the questions Kinsey was initially asking you all, how did the characters that you just mentioned, how did they help to inspire you and the work that you do in comics, cartoons, or animation? Anyone can jump in. All
right, I'll say something. I don't know, because I like seeing him there. I forget his name too. I just know he was a Shogun Warrior pilot, and that was one of the reasons. I mean, I was a big Shogun Warrior fan because I had those toys, those big 2 feet tall toys, when I was a kid. But then later on, I collected comic books. There was a Storm, there was Power Man, Falcon, and other people. But it was nice seeing myself, especially where I grew up. I grew up in a mostly white town in Georgia, in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, and it was good seeing myself reflected in comics. But I don't really have much to say about that because my Black consciousness came out later, and wanting to do see more Black people in comics and whatnot. But as far as then, I was just trying to. I did want to see more Black people, but I had a different consciousness then.
Okay. Samta, Eliane?
What I can say is actually the first character, the first superhero that I met as a Black superhero was Ororo. But the thing is, I grew up in a French-speaking country in Africa, Cameroon, and I had other Black figures in comics that were not the American kind of superhero. We were more under the French and Belgium kind of heritage. So heroes who are doing amazing things, but just being normal, regular persons like Tintin and Milou, and then the Black characters that I grew up with were Kwaku, a young Black guy who had an open white shirt and doing stuff in his village, amazing things. Kimbo and Kita, those were the Black characters I grew up with. And then at some point, I really dove into French, Belgian, Asian, and American comics. And it was a very funny mix because I never really realized that they were not Black. I related so much with the struggles and the challenges of the characters that even if you take the Smurfs were blue, so I could not even imagine. Okay, they had the dark Smurf who was biting everyone, but that's even to me the dark one was not Black. You know, he was dark, and then it's because I grew up in so many and diverse characters that I wanted to do the same thing. I started drawing when I was 9. Doing my first comics when I was 9, it was really clear in my head that I wanted to do comics. And it's when I grew up that I realized that even the Kwaku I grew up with, the Black character that I grew up with was drawn by a white man. All the Tintin and all the other anime, cartoons, comics that I used to love were drawn by white males. And that really was the even Ororo at the end of the day, Storm. So and at one point it was like I got invested with this mission that I wanted to exist as a woman doing comics, and that's the reason why Regine, I was so happy and glad to get in touch with you a couple of years ago. I was like, oh, we are many of us women creating our own stuff, and so it's really a global. How can I put it? It's a global thing. I grew up with an imagery, and then I realized that behind the imagery and behind the stories and the good storytellings that I was reading and digesting, none were Black or even Afro-American, Caribbean, African, none were Black, and few were female, like even sometimes none were female. So I wanted to exist as a woman doing comics.
Samta?
Yeah.
It's okay.
I thought it was on off. Thank you. Comic. So the question,
well, how did the characters that you mentioned before, how they help inspire your work?
Well, definitely just seeing that there could be heroes that could save the day and they were of the same color as I am was really inspiring, even just as a child. But definitely when I came in contact with the Omoboy comic book, which was a Nigerian comic book, it kind of gave me a next level of revelation into how impactful these stories are for the youth. And even just how they can expose, they can tell a lot of stories and take you to places that you haven't been. And definitely seeing the environment in the comic book, the way his family was, the way he interacted with his mother, the way he showed his respects when he was greeting her, and the native food that he was eating looks in the comics. And I could see my own life, I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to show people our cultures, give people room to experience our languages, get to understand our mythology, and just give people the same experience that I experienced, learn about Greek mythology, or even knowing about, or even beginning to even understand how comic book cities, which are fictional, were even related to real cities. Like when you look at Hell's Kitchen in Daredevil, that's related to an American city, and it has similarities, and then Gotham, so Metropolis, and they kind of, had ways of exporting the culture, through that. And I just wanted to create that same experience.
Awesome. And I have to laugh because Steve and I were from New York City, and that's where Hell's Kitchen is. So when we see Daredevil's Hell's Kitchen, we're like, that doesn't look like that anymore.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Oh my gosh. So my next question is, what is your opinion on the depiction of Black superheroes in mainstream media in the past versus now? Like, what changes are you happy to see? Are there any changes that you could do without? And this relates to movies or comics.
Well, I'm seeing a lot more. Okay, go ahead, Samson.
Okay. Oh, okay, thanks. Thank you, Steve. I think definitely one that I'm excited that that a lot of, like, Black Panther was really revolutionary in terms of bringing clashing cultures, in terms of not just showing the Black American experience, but also showing that through the African experience, on the continent, and then representing that as one people, which we are. And that was really powerful for me to see that movie happen, and see the way the cultures and the diversity was celebrated by people all over the world, people of color all over the world. That was amazing, proud moment. At the same time, when you look at projects like Luke Cage or Black Lightning, that's amazing representation, but it's always coming from the same perspectives of this superhero saving people from the hood. They don't make the Black hero have a larger perspective on how he impacts the world, but when you watch the Justice Leagues with the Batmans and the Superman, it's on a global level. So I always see that local champion type feel in the narrative that they have right now. Always trying to stop the drug guys selling drugs in the hood to the people. Yeah, we get that, but that narrative is kind of rhetorical and is putting it in the same place that I feel like that narrative could definitely be wider. And I'm definitely seeing that in comic books that are coming out now, such as telling a more fantasy perspective for Black stories, or African stories, delving into our mythology, delving into science fiction, taking it to uncharted regions where we can show representation, and capture an even wider audience, because that's what anime does. It's Japanese, but it's larger than life, So when you watch Ghibli projects, or when you watch projects like Attack on Titans, it takes you to such a magnanimous level that you're not still, it doesn't still keep people in the same box as a person of color when watching it, because you're seeing the same experiences, but this time it has a hero in it. I feel like that narrative could leave that box. But I'm excited.
Steve?
Yeah, I'm a big like sci-fi opera fan, like Star Wars and stuff like that. And so it touched on what Somto was saying, how we're kind of parochial in our stories, or we are represented parochially in our stories. And I want to see like us, out there in space, or with giant robots, or doing something crazy like that. I want to see Black people doing cool stuff. So I like the superheroes, the villains, the indifferent. And so I mean, as far as what was out there before, what I didn't like was like the stereotypes they would use, the unlikable person that would be in the scene, the only person that would be in the scene or the movie, the early Eddie Murphy movies, or Whoopi Goldberg movies like Jumpin' Jack Flash, or 48 Hours, where they're the only Black character in there with no family, no friends in there. And I think that started changing. I don't know when it started changing. I liked when I saw Blade, when he had a Black friend and there was a Black woman lead, or in the movie. And then later on we see us doing our stories, and we had our subtleties, our culture in there, the things we do, how we communicate with each other, and our perspective. That's what I'm seeing now, and what I'm really liking in what I'm seeing now. But sometimes people still go back to the old stereotypes, or with the sidekick, or the stereotypical person, or the unlikable person, just for no reason. And but I see a lot changing. I see a lot I can't believe I'm saying this now, what the young people are doing. but what's coming out now, I'm very hopeful for, and it looks great.
Hey.
What I can say is at some point in time concerning superheroes, I really got something with Spider-Man, because to me, that character had real issues, bills to pay, a love life that was really like a roller coaster. And Spider-Man was really a superhero that I enjoyed reading or watching. But so it's very different from Superman, even though nowadays Superman is having his own issues. But back when he was created, Superman was just super everywhere. But with time, and I am very happy and privileged to be part of one project, especially, even though we can talk about it later, but I can open some brackets on it. I'm working on an exhibition with something like 60 African artists doing comics all over the continent. And I've been able to see some wonderful works from not just African American artists, not just from UK artists or European, Black European artists, but Black African artists on the continent. And it was wonderful to discover talented artists like Bill. I was so glad to see that he was in the panel before ours, Bill Masuko with Captain South Africa. The fact that we grew up with the golden age of superheroes, American mirror of what a superhero is, has been a fertile ground for many artists all over the continent to create their own kind of superhero. In Togo, Benin, Nigeria, because in Nigeria, like Vortex Corp, you have like Little Orishas, a job on the Justice, I can say Justice League of Orishas, with the mythology of Orishas. When we know the Odin mythology, the northern mythology, or the Greek mythology in Nigeria, you've came up with so many interesting stories with I won't say just local, but more African grounded background mythology and spirituality and stuff. So now I'm so happy, even with the Black Panther, even though there are some people who hated the movement or people who were just so happy to see a Black character so powerful and having such a global impact all around the world. What came up, and not just after Black Panther just helped open more widely a door that was already getting open. It just helps getting to know and making people more curious about what can African actually do, if not of Black Panther, which was done by white man, whatever. And the movie was not even from a white man at the end. It was something really rooted on the continent and all around, but still, it was a way for people to really discover all the riches and the diversity of how African Blacks can absorb, digest, and interpret what they have been consuming. When, for example, you said Attack on Titans, and that's very Japanese. We also grew up with all this Japanese, from Dragon Ball to Monster to Billy Bat, Attack on Titans, all the shoujo shonen and whatever. And all those influences have really helped create us to have a very wide panel of creative superheroes.
Thank you. Thank you. So next question. What's your creative process when making your own characters? Is there anything that you are specifically mindful about when creating them? Steve, I'm just going to call on you.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Steve.
Okay.
No.
You'll be next.
So yeah, for me it's the story first, and then the characters come in, and I think the characters fit into the story or who they are. I don't create stories too much. I mainly draw the stories, but when I do create a story, that's what this is. I always have a story first. I mean, before I was writing, I had the story in mind. I just didn't consider. I didn't think myself as a writer, so I didn't know how to put it together. And then when I joined the studio, a man named Gray Williamson helped me put together a story, or help me with the framework of a story and how to make a story personalize it, so focus on the character, and then the background, the setting, and everything could be, could be how that character reacts to that story or reacts to that environment. So that's where I started writing after that point, my own story and forming it out. And then later when I met our friend Robert, we and Ajala came together. He was the main force behind the story, but then I started adding stuff to it, and we started becoming more collaborative as far as the plot was going forward. So that helped me a lot too, and his input on my story helped me with my stories too. So it's always an ongoing process of input and feedback. And I think you had some points too with when I was doing my French book, when he
Oh, me?
yeah, because he asked you what you thought about it, and he told me some of your notes, and I said okay, so I added that to it. But it's a process of the story, characters, character development, and character interaction, and dialogue. Some of those last things I'm working on, or I need to work on, but those are some things that's part of my process. Is then once that's together, the overall story, the plot, the beat outline, and then I go into it from there.
Elion?
Yeah, you next.
Yeah, Elion. Can you hear me?
Sorry. No, my screen froze.
Oh, okay.
The screen froze. Sorry. So I didn't get that I was the one to speak. Sorry.
It's okay.
If I can just share this to explain my process.
Please do.
You have 3 covers. It's an ongoing series I am drawing. I did a crowdfunding to publish it, and I am now at the 3rd volume, working on the 4th. But why am I showing this is because I want to talk about how I create the characters. And just like Steven said, I start by writing the story, but not just the story, but I put so much, how can I put it? I put so much in each character. Like, for example, this is the diary of Eben Duta. Eben Duta is my main character, the light-skinned girl at the center of the image. And why did I created her like that? It's because back in the days, we had the same appearance. I was very thin. I was what American called light skin. And I was really uncomfortable with my skin for various reasons. Not really the reasons African Americans have concerning the light skin and dark skin, discussions. But I had various complex and issues with my skin and my appearance because people assumed that since I was light-skinned girl and thin, I could easily find a man. I could even marry a white man. And those were the things that I hated. I didn't want to be in a box of you're just meat for foreigners. You can never get in touch with a real Black man because he liked thicker girl and you're not thick enough. So when I created that character, it was really the story behind her creation, like having that, that appearance, but not the comfort and the cliche and the stereotype people wanted to attach to the appearance. And I called her Eben Duta. Eben in English is ebony, but I don't want to translate it to ebony because ebony, I'm sorry, but it doesn't really, in Google, you don't get into safe for work images when you type ebony, just ebony like that.
Really?
So I kept the Eben, but
Like that.
for real, it's just the meaning is dark black, and Duta, Duta, it's in my mother tongue, and it means drawing. So I wanted to create a Black character, and since I watched.
Did she freeze?
Yeah, she froze. Oh,
Okay. She'll be back. Is she back?
Yes.
Hi.
We see you. We're back. You're back. You're back.
You're back.
I mean,
really getting into it. Like, oh no, she froze.
I'm just did like, it's midnight. I'm like Cinderella. I'm running away. So
you can reshare if you want.
If you want to share your image. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
And so the character, her name is Eben. Her name is Eben Duta.
Oh, she froze again. She froze. Okay, so Somto, if you want to start, wait. Okay. Listen, we're all working through it. My audio, said goodbye, so we're all working through it. Don't worry.
Did I tell you that she has a shitty life? My main character.
No, you
it's
didn't.
possible.
We missed that part.
Is she coming back?
Yeah, she's here. She's here. We see her.
You're just on mute. Elion, you're on mute.
Okay, I will try to be. I will try to do this quick before we get interrupted again. So her name is Eben Duta. Duta means drawing in my mother tongue. So I wanted to create a Black character. And since with all the comics character that I've digested, I wanted a name that could be pronounced everywhere on the world. Consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. So I came up with Eben Duta. And when I created her mirror character, in French they call it a faire valoir or an antagonist. There are names for that. She's not really the villain, but she's her, when you have two characters to bring value to one and to the other, depending on the narrative. So I created the second character, who is a dark-skinned girl. She's very dark. She has very short hair because both have natural hair, but she has very short hair with very large curls, you know. And her name is Claire, like fair, Moula. Moula means oil, but the reason why I named her Claire Moula, like light oil, was because she's plumpy. It's plumpy, the name. She has curves, a lot of curves, and she's full of confidence. She's so proud to be the archetype of that Black dark-skinned woman, and she doesn't have the complex. She doesn't have wigs. She doesn't wear wigs. She's so happy with herself, and I really wanted to work with these two characters, changing and transferring the complexes and the challenges of each character to create a new dynamics of how women can see themselves in an environment that don't wait for them the way they are, but who want to fit them into a specific box. And that's really how I create my characters. I create a list of what are the stereotypes or the cliches, and I try to twist it and I add some sparkles of humor so that things will go smoothly and people will get the message and not just focus on how to be offended and just create discussion and miss the target of why I created this or this character.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sumto. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Oh, hi, thanks.
Hey, it's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, great. So I just wanted to, I mean, it's great that we can share a screen so I could show you a little bit of our process.
Yes, please do. And then we'll see Steve's after.
Okay.
Let me just click share. So here is a little manual we make for our project from time. Yeah, here's a little manual that we create for our projects from time to time. It's called Panels and Chat Bubbles. And this is for a project called Land of Gods, which I created alongside a co-creator who lives in New York in the US. Her name is Janica Barnett, brilliant writer, storyteller. It's called, this was our bit of our process in Land of Gods. You know, first we focus on the story development. That's like, you know, creating the world and writing our stories within it. Then the next part of what we do is like working with the character concepts, like kind of sketching out what our characters look like, you know, from the ground up and trying like different looks and feels. You know, the designs, the times of which they are and how we want them to look like. And this is kind of what the final character design ends up looking like, you know, with the turnarounds. So we can pass the project on from artist to artist, that they kind of have a full understanding and grasp of the project at every time. A key part of what we also do is the world building, you know, which is like a key, which is like an important method of us kind of also defining the story that we're trying to tell. Also defining the world that our story is being told in, which also affects the characters, because the characters are products of the environment. So if the world is a harsh world and or a dark place, it affects the way the characters behave and how they think and how they struggle to survive, you know. And then there's some parts which are like royal and up in the sky and, you know, lofty, and you know, and those people also have a whole different perspective as well. That's pretty much our process. We start with just identifying the story, developing it a little bit, you know, defining our characters, developing them more, and also developing our world. And once those three pillars are in place, we pretty much have our story together.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Steve, do you have any work you'd like to show the audience?
Yeah, just give me a second. Okay. All right. Here's some stuff from Indigo Clan. I'm gonna pull up. Share screen. This is I'll go with the thumbnail sketch first. You see it?
Yes.
What do you see? I'm not sure what you see.
Yeah, we can.
Huh?
We see page 22 through 23.
Oh.
You have it's a double page splash.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. So this is this is a thumbnail sketch of one of the image I was doing.
This is pretty cool.
And so the final, I'm gonna show you the pencils and I'm gonna show you the color. So this is how I start out with with thumbnail sketch. Sometimes there's a process in between this, but I'm gonna go right to the next process, which is the pencils.
So this is you start with the outline first.
Yeah, and then
this is the
pencils. So you seen the pencils now? The full pencils?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the finished pencils of the process of this. And here's a double page spread, and here's the next one. You see the next page too?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I have the next page of this. This was a monster works. I had to do this project has been a monster. Is an ongoing book I'm doing for this guy on the West Coast. And he has a lot of metaphysical things going on in there. So a lot of special effects and whatnot. And so the next screen I'm showing you is a finished color. So a lot of things I gotta leave out because the special effects he puts into the project. And I have my colorist, or the colors of the book, Walt Barner. You know Walt, Ray
Yes,
June.
Walt's great.
He did this thing on here with the colors.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so
Very vibrant.
And here's his color for the first the first double page spread and the second double page spread. Okay, let me see it. Okay, yeah, you see the second double page spread as well?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so the process the process is like thumbnail, pencils, color with this one. The next what I'm gonna show you next is added process. Sometimes what I have go in between those two things, which is I call the develop sketch. This it right here. Yeah. So this one is the beginning of this book with I call develop sketch. And you guys are seeing that right now, right? With the guy in front of the tree and the motorcycles.
Yes.
Yeah. So as a loose sketch, I do. Sometimes this is where I have the most fun, and I do this just to make sure everything is in the right place and the faces are kind of firmed out a little bit. More so where thumbnails are just for placement and arrangement of the composition. The developed sketch is more or less more finished ready for me to blow up and to trace these on the board. So I'm gonna show you the finished product of this right now, which is
in the thumbnail piece. I mean, one of the thumbnail pieces that you showed us, that's the one with the blue ink, correct?
Yeah, blue line
blue
pencil,
ink,
yeah.
and then you drew over it. Okay.
Yeah, and so yeah, thumbnails are more smaller, like this size. Well, this size like 3x5. The developed sketch like 6x9, and then the final pencil rather, is this right here. So make it this other way. You see that here?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the finished pencil of the so I'll trace it in blue line pencil. It's very old school. On the actual board, not a tablet. And I'll go back on the blue line. So the purpose of the blue line is just to get all the mistakes out of the way, to sketch it loosely and to put it on the board, and then to have the pencil, I'm applying the pencil tightly on the board, so it's like almost like it's inked. So when I do scan it, I'll make the pencils darker and add blacks where the X's are. You'll see where the X's are is the black areas over here.
So, and when you say on the board, you're saying that when you're actually hand drawing, like old school. Yeah. I got my 11 by 17.
Exactly. Yeah, because
You have one near you? If you don't, it's okay.
No, I
But-
do. I do.
But
Hold
so
on.
yes, okay. So yeah. So you're not drawing on a Wacom.
So right here.
Is that the same piece? Oh, that's one of the pieces. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the let me get it in the screen there. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the piece from before.
Yeah. Yeah. So and right next to me, I have a project I'm working on, which is in the develop sketch stage. So I'm not saying what this project is, but
Okay.
but so yeah, that's the the purpose of the blue line was to avoid well, so you couldn't see it when the pencils were photocopied. So so all you would see were the pencil lines, and then the inker would ink just when you reproduced it. So when it was reproduced, inked, and colored, you wouldn't see the blue line stuff in the finished product or the published product. But it all comes up when you scan it on the computer. But I just make sure I just manipulate levels, throw it in the grayscale, and get rid of what blue lines are in there through that process. And anything that's left over, I just erase with the eraser tool on the page. And oh, one more thing I want to show you is another thing about Walt. This is
That's beautiful.
this is the page that we worked on for Noir's New Black. And this is
That
giant
came
rope.
out recently, right?
Was that? Yeah, it came out recently. It came out
Anthology.
in February. It's a 6-page story written by Brandon Thomas, drawn by myself and colored by Walt Barner Masanza, a brother from he's from Mozambique.
He's from Zimbabwe.
He's from Zimbabwe. Yeah, Zimbabwe. I think he's currently residing in South Africa. And so he colored this, and he colored Ajala for us, and now he's colored. Anytime I get a job, I refer him, and
Yeah,
so
he's awesome.
He's colored a few of my projects, and this is one of them where he colored, which features a female protagonist, and six-page stories. I'm not gonna tell much of the story. I'm not gonna tell any of the story because it's 6 pages long, but it's a story that Brandon and I want to explore further. So hopefully we can do that. But that's part of the process. Thumbnails, develop sketches, finish pencil, and then I may darken the pencil line so it won't have to be inked. And that's pretty much my process.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing, all of you.
problem.
Actually,
I'll share.
amazing work. So we're winding down just a little bit, and we did get one question, and anyone in the audience feel free to send us more questions, but we got a pretty detailed question. I got sent directly to me in the chat, so I'm gonna pose that to y'all. But before we do that, tell folks where they can find you online, and what your next projects are. Elias, let's start with you. Well, now we're getting questions.
Then I can send the link and you will share them, but you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. Are you hearing me?
Yeah,
Yes.
I hear you. Mm-mm.
Oh, she froze. Okay. She'll come back to us. Samto?
Yeah. So you can find us on vortex247.com. It's a subscription platform to read the best of African comic books across the continent. We would be honored to have comic books from Steve Harris, Ajala, the platform. I've followed your art for so long. I'm in love with your art, and seeing that just reminds me all over again.
Thank you.
I think we definitely even had a few conversations over Facebook, probably.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. You can find us there. It's the platform speaks for itself. So once you get there, you just have to read comic books. And that's all. That's the business that we're in, you know, having people to read these comic books. If you want to follow us on Instagram, is at VX Comics across everything. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, VX Comics, one word, VX COMIC S Comics. We're very excited to have new people join our community and subscribe. It's just $3 per month. You know, that's the price of a box of juice. You could read you could read comic books to from across the continent, comic books in the diaspora. We're excited. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you all.
Steve?
Oh yeah, you reach me in social media. Just type in my name and Stephen Harris @Stephen Harris on my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Sometimes I'll pop in on LinkedIn, but that's rare. And my website is nstephenworks.com. I'll put it in the chat. All that stuff. And the current projects I'm working on now, I just showed you Indigo Clan. I'm working on that right now, and a 10-pager for another person. And I'll have my DC writing debut coming out in May on my birthday.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I'm represent 10 pages represent. And it's about a story that happened to me in '92 when I was a young person trying to fight the power. So that's coming out in May. 10-page story with me and some friends trying to make a difference in the world.
Okay, awesome. And me, I'm Regine. I'm Regine Elsewhere. You can find me at lockitdown.com. That's LOCKETT down.com. You can also find me and the other members of Women in Comics at womenincomicscollective.org. And we're all over the social medias and stuff. And I have some stories that came out with DC a couple of months back. And I have some other stuff coming out that I can't talk about, but I can't wait to talk about it. And we also have an anthology that we're doing over at Wink, and we are taking submissions, and it is paid. You will get paid for writing a short story or editorial comic or even some poems. So feel free to go over and check out the submission guidelines. So we do have a question. Okay, this is from Kenji. What are the differences between American superheroes and African superheroes? Not just Black heroes, but in terms of region. Are there different principles that African audiences are looking for? And Kenji asked a pretty, I mean, that's yeah. Opening a question, but it's a big question. But we have a couple of minutes where we can answer it. Anybody want to jump in? Any thoughts? So that's why you take yourself off mute. So. We can all answer it
it's
together.
An interesting question. I think how do Black American and African comic book artists cross the bridge and work more together? I think it's already happening. And I think it's been happening for a long time. I think a lot of, just like Stephen Harris, his colorist is Zimbabwe, you know. I've worked with brother Sir Akinsheye Brown for years, you know, working on his comic book Sankofa Man, which was a great honor. You know, I think it's already happening. I think it could, yes, there's room for it to happen more, but I think platforms like this is what inspires it to continue happening, you know. So big shout out to Towson 4. I think also a collective place where you can read from both worlds is also a great way to discover artists in both sides of the pool. And also digest their content and even see ways that you can mash them together. So sign up on Vortex 247.
Yeah, I'm a big I mean, I'm big proponent of Pan-Africanism, and when Walt came to us, Robert found Walt, and when he first did the first issue of Jolly, it was amazing, and I made it my business to make sure I was keeping in touch with him, and anything that came down the pike, which I have done, I shoot to him because he's great. He's a great color, a great professional, and those are some ways that I don't know much about the comic book buying public on the continent, but as far as professionals, I mean, there's Walt, there's Roy Akupe who does his book, Malika, I'm not sure. Malika, right? And so whenever possible, whenever we can, we support people doing their things, collaborate with people doing their things, just to be aware of who we are and each other. Because, like I said, I'm one of my philosophies is Pan-Africanism, and working together across the continent, across the diaspora is what I want to do. So that's how I take it. But yeah, working with professionals who are doing what we do is part of the key to that, I think.
Okay. And Leon, she's having some she has bad connection, but she sent me some things that she's currently doing. So she's created a festival. Let me make this bigger so I can see it. Okay, she created a festival where she invites various artists and gives room to many people. And she's had unknown and as well as well-known artists at this festival. The last was Charlie Adlard, the comic artist behind the Walking Dead phenomenon. And she's inviting artists, no matter their background or language, and would be honored to have more from the diaspora.
Nice.
From the US, Europe, Asia, to connect and exchange experiences.
Nice.
Okay. Do you have any more questions? I think we got a lot of comments. Oh, also she says from African storytelling to more. But we received a lot of thank yous. People are really happy to meet us and meet the panelists and see everything that you're doing. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you to everyone who came and attended the panel. Thank you so much to our panelists and Stephen Harris, Somto, Elions. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us. And it was my pleasure to be here with you. So thank you.
Thank you for having us, Regina, and Towson University.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Thompson. Thank you, Ekbach, as well.
And great seeing you, Somto, and nice meeting you, Elions.
Well, thank you all.
Nice meeting you all. Thank you very much.
This has been a wonderful event, and we really appreciate the time that you all put into it. And we know it was kind of hard and awkward. Some of you, it's nighttime, so we definitely appreciate that. And it's been kind of a long draining day, I can imagine, for those who've been with us throughout the whole time. But we really appreciate it. Kirsten, did you have any last comments that you wanted to make? And then I'll kind of close this all out.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for attending. Thank you for signing up. I hope you got a lot of great tips, learned some new things, and just enjoyed yourself. The conversation was absolutely great. We had a lot of preparation to get here, and I just want to say thank you to all of the panelists and participants, because it definitely showed.
This has really been a really wonderful event, and I need to highlight the effort that Kirsten put into this. When we given the COVID, all this stuff is more complicated, and she said she wanted to do it, and I said, well, you can do it. I got a million things to do, and she really took control and organized this and reached out and did everything necessary to make this happen. So I'm very proud of her. And what we were able to accomplish. We recorded this event, so we're going to have it, edited and posted on our website. So there will be increasing numbers of folks who will see what you guys talked about and really have access to this really deep and insightful conversation. We also will have links to all of your websites ongoing. So hopefully, that will elicit more interest in the work that you guys are doing. And again, we're going to keep doing this event into the future. Maybe next year we'll be in person and as well as some remote, because I love the idea of being able to access you folks from around the world to participate. And so I'm hoping that you guys will come back and join us again. This has been a great conversation and a wonderful contribution to our university and our whole and our exploration of people of African descent all around the world and culture and ideas. So I appreciate your time and your efforts. With that, thank you all. A special thank you goes out to all the folks at ECBAC, especially Brother Kinsey, for all the hard work and the vision and doing the heavy lifting of bringing you all together and tapping your network. So we appreciate that. Thank you. And until next year. Great. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.